May, the month of the short book. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's that time again to go over my TBR for the month. So here we go, we'll get into it, and this will be my TBR for the month of May. I'll go ahead and start out with the two things that I'm going to be carrying over from last month that I didn't quite get finished. That will be The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I think I am probably, by the time you see this, I'll probably be 50 to 60% of the way through with this. I'm really starting to get into it. I can start to see why people like it. I'm not all the way invested in it yet. It's not blowing me away, but I think I'm slowly starting to get there. So hopefully by the time you see this, I'm far enough into where I'm really starting to love this, because I have a lot of plans with the Cosmere this year. I am trying to read through all of it. So obviously if it's not good, well, I'll probably just won't do that. So hopefully I fall in love with it like most people do. The other thing I will be carrying over for this month is this book right here, Book 2 of The War of Light and Shadows by Janny Wirtz, The Ships of Merior. I am currently on page 165, and you know, this is a book that I have been reading for a long time, really slowly. I would really like to try to finish it in May, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going on some vacations, so we'll see how my reading is affected. That is also part of the reason why I'm going to try and read a couple shorter books this month. But yeah, this is a book that I just need to probably sit down and put some work into. I'm not sure if it's better for me to sit and binge read it, or if it's better for me to sit down and take like 25-minute little sessions with it, just because of the way the writing is. I kind of go back and forth with it, where sometimes I just want to be really immersed into it, and other times where I'm like, I can only handle so much of it because it really is taxing on my brain. Some of the stuff that it happens and the words just right over my head. So yeah, hopefully this is the month that I can finish it, but I'm not even going to make any promises this time around. Now for the books that I will be starting fresh with, and I mentioned I will be going on vacation this month. I'm actually going to the beach twice this month, and that inspired me to read Jaws by Peter, I think it is Benchley, yes, Peter Benchley, I think is how you say it. So yeah, Jaws, I think everybody kind of knows this story or has seen them, you know, has seen the movie at least. So yeah, you know, shark attacks at the beach, small town, you know, some corrupt politician-y stuff. But yeah, so going to the beach myself inspired me to read what is probably most people's, you know, biggest fear when they go, is getting attacked by a shark. But you know, this is a movie that I really like. It's probably at worst in my top 15, 20 movies. I'd have to really sit down and like come up with a list of it. But I really kind of wanted to see what the differences between the movie and the book are. I know there are some, but you know, overall I wanted to see just, you know, how good it was, and being at the beach reading it, I think it would just be kind of fun. Next up after that will be A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. I think this is just a collection of like 2 or 3 novellas that George has written that take place in Westeros. You know, I love the world of Westeros. I don't think that is too big of a surprise. I'm a fantasy fan, so you know, it's one of the GOAT fantasy series at this point. And I think this is the last bit of content that I need to read for it. I have read Fire and Blood and obviously the main 5 books, so I don't think I'm missing anything else. I don't know, I'd have to check a little bit harder. But the reason I decided to read this is I saw that HBO recently greenlit this, or at least one of the stories in here, to be a new TV show. And so I definitely wanted to make sure I got around to reading it before the show came out. I always kind of like to be able to see the differences and how well I think they adapted something. And HBO has a pretty good track record of adapting different material. So I am really excited to get back to Westeros. I did watch Fire and Blood, or The House of the Dragon, that's based off Fire and Blood. And I actually just finished watching Game of Thrones not that long ago. I think it was in December. I had actually never watched the show until very recently. So, you know, just kind of getting my fix of Westeros. I'll be kind of sad that this will be like the last bit of new content. I wish we could get the next book, but you know, maybe a reread is something I could consider. I normally don't reread, but maybe that's something I can do in the future. After spending some time in Westeros, I will continue on with my James Bond read-along, which is with book 11, On Her Majesty, I cannot say it, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Don't really know anything about this book other than, you know, it's a James Bond book, which at this point I kind of have the basic formula. I'm sure something happens and James has to come and save the day. I'm looking forward to it. I've heard really good things about this one. I've heard that this is one of the better out of all of the books. So we'll see if I feel the same way. I have liked some that I have heard most people don't like. My favorite James Bond book, Diamonds Are Forever, I've seen some lists where that is pretty consistently ranked towards the bottom. So, you know, maybe I'll have a different opinion on this one, but I think maybe this has something to do with skiing. I think I saw a book cover of it where James or somebody is like skiing, so maybe I'm just completely wrong, but I'm looking forward to it. At some point, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to put in place of these James Bond books. I'll need another short or a long series that has short books that I can hopefully fit in here, because there's only 3 more left after this one. So yeah, if you have any suggestions for some long series but short books, let me know. I'll be interested in that. That kind of ends the shorter books. I know that's only 3, but with vacation, my reading is just going to be so sporadic, so I'm not sure. I will also mention that I would like to start the Words of Radiance this month and finish it if possible. Like I said, with the vacations and everything, I never know how much reading I'm actually going to get done between the vacations and work, and how much I have to catch up and get done and everything. You never know. I definitely will probably start it at least, but finishing it, I think that's probably another 40-ish hour long audiobook. So yeah, and hopefully I am in love with the series by that point. And I've heard so many good things about the Words of Radiance that it's like the best book of the series. So I'm pretty excited to get to it. So that one will also be on the docket. And with the unpredictability of my reading this month, I'm also going to throw out 2 other books that may or may not happen, get thrown in here. I bought God Killer by Hannah Kanner. This is, I don't even know how to describe it perfectly, but basically there's like a war between people and these gods or something like that is going on in this world. And I ordered that. It's supposed to be come here sometime in the middle of May. So just kind of depending on where I am in my reading and everything, I will pick that up either this month, but it will at latest probably be a next month read. But also just, it's on the screen right now, but that cover, I love that cover. I think it's super awesome. It was a cover. I was going to buy this just for the cover, and then I also found out that the story sounded really interesting as well. So I'm glad I can get this one. And the other possible book, like I said, just depending on how the month goes, is Outlander by Dennis E. Taylor. He is one of my favorite authors. He is the author of the Bobbyverse, or Bobbyverse, Bobbyverse. I think that's how most people say it. Series. If you haven't read it, it's a sci-fi series. It's really good. It's a light, kind of fluffy one. Think more of like the Martian-y, Project Hail Mary kind of sci-fi versus some like really hard philosophical sci-fi. But this book is about like the Yellowstone supervolcano exploding, and you know, that's interesting enough. At this point, when he puts out a book, I'm gonna throw it onto a TBR and get it at some point. But yeah, just with the unknown nature of this month, I just wanted to mention those 2 as well, as they might be a possibility for me. But that is my TBR for the month of May. Like I said, a bunch of short books, which is kind of a nice change of pace. I've been reading a bunch of thick books. So yeah, let me know what your May TBR is down in the comments. I'm always interested to see what everyone else is reading, and have a good one.